morning, everyone. Let's get in the mood, shall we? It's the remix. There's an Arabic guy by the name of Bayu. I've played you this track before. They're starting to sing about the Persian girls. Wow, they've been doing it for a while. But what I've been noticing on Instagram is that nowadays you've got a lot of Caucasian gentlemen and African gentlemen and some African ladies as well who are all learning how to speak Persian. There's one American white gentleman who's married to a Persian woman who speaks so naturally, and then there are these Africans as well from inside Africa, and I have no idea why they're learning Persian. If you actually close your eyes, you wouldn't really know that they weren't Persian or Iranian. You know how when you listen to people speaking on the phone, you can tell their ethnicity by the tone in their voice? I can tell anyway. Some of these African gentlemen, it would be very hard to tell that they weren't native Persians. The ones from Africa I'm talking about. We do have a community of, so in Iran there's like a huge community. I wasn't going to give you a history lesson. Iran's made up of so many different types of people. So when I use the words Iranian and Persian, Persian means that you're ethnically Persian. Your native roots are Persian. Iranian means that you can be from a different country or a different ethnic origin, but you were either born in Iran or you have lived there for so long that you've become Iranian. In the same way that I couldn't refer to myself as being English or Scottish or this or that, but I can refer to myself as being British. Does that make sense? That's sort of in my mind anyway. Some people might disagree with me, but that's the difference to me between being Persian and Iranian. I'm both Persian and Iranian and British. Does that make sense? Okay. So we actually have in Iran, there's so many different cultures and communities that are not ethnically Persian. And yeah, it's incredible. It's amazing. I'm here for it. But I think since what's been happening in the world, people are becoming really confident to discuss their interest in Persian culture. Oh my gosh, I've been seeing so many videos of YouTubers going into Iran and doing tourist videos and that kind of thing, which is amazing. I think slowly, yeah, it's going to be, the Persians are going to have their moment. So I need to disappear for a little bit. Let me play this track for you. This is a remix. This is the remix. And it's actually a Persian Italian guy who's done this remix. Bayu is Arabic. He wrote a song called Persian Girl, which is such a tune. And then this Persian Italian dude has done a remix of it. House remix.
More than half are blamed in harsh, they say.
Sorry, sir. Didn't mean to cut you off. This kind of advert's okay. He's a blind gentleman talking about his experiences.
She loves to dance on me, and I love that she running around the streets. I know she wants to go for runs with me. I love it when she rock that. Hundreds in my pocket. I see you on my hand, back down, baby, don't try it. She turning pink and violet. For her, I would get violent. I see you going wild. I think you hold that back. I feel when you hold that back. I think that you know that I love you when you come rock around me, rock around. circles, girl, come rock around me, rock around me. Little mama wanna dance one time. No drama, baby, you're so fine. I really wanna make you mine. Take a chance and that's for me. Been around and I've been down bad, but you keep my love, then I'll keep my dead. If I see myself, then it's in her head. She knows I love it when she come by. Feel the sweat running down the spine. If I close the blinds and it's demon time, I've been like that. How I love when I beat that bed. Little mama wanna dance on me. Stir my soul, the eye contact. Hit the notes with the melodies. Put the voice note in the next track. But a Persian girl and she loves to dance on me. And I love that she ain't running around the streets. I know she wants to go for rounds with me. I know she wants to, I know she wants to find. Every night I used to be alive. Taking you is all I mind. I feel for you, baby, my love. I feel for you, so
Okay, exciting times. So, with all these non-native Persians learning the Persian language, it's giving me a little bit of anxiety, my friends. Cannot be having outsiders speaking my father and mother's tongue better than me. So I'm going to be away for a few weeks just because I feel distracted. This is my favorite space. This is the thing that I love to do, being on here. It's my favorite thing that I've been doing for the past few years, other than going on these drum and bass rides. And I find that I'm just thinking about this channel throughout the week. That's what I like to do. But I have other things I need to do. And until I sort of start to make some progress with these other things, this has now become punishment time for Girl 150. We cannot fully enjoy ourselves unless we're making progress. So it's not a goodbye. Don't do goodbyes very well anyway. It's just hold that thought. It's more like that. So communication. The two boxers are going to be fighting it out soon, I think. I just saw a very quick clip of them. Eubank Jr., he's such an excellent communicator that you pay attention. You make sure you listen to him. I find it a joy listening to him speak. I've been thinking a lot about communication this week because I put that video up, which I deleted. In a nutshell, if you didn't see that video, it was just about a couple of opportunities that came my way, and the first one, it wasn't right, and I'll tell you why in a second. The second one, I sort of can't get out of my head. It's dealing with the right people, but maybe not necessarily the right conditions. The second group of people that I was dealing with, the communication was so smooth and easy. Now I could sit here and tell you that there's certain star signs that are better communicators than others, and you might think that's woo-woo, but I think we need to keep an open mind about that, because if the moon has control over the tides, why doesn't when you're born affect the person that you become? So this wasn't supposed to be about astrology. In my experience, people who are empaths tend to be better communicators. Not always. you can find, that's the wrong thing to say. I found that people from certain star signs tend to be better communicators, but there are always exceptions. The second group of people, I just asked. I've become very free about asking questions that seem weird or unusual, but I just ask because when I meet people who are excellent communicators, I want to just know why they're excellent communicators. So I just ask, when were you born? I don't say what's your star sign. Just say when were you born, and then from that I can figure out sort of, yeah, I can figure out what their star sign is. I mean, obviously the date. I'll just ask a second question. Oh, are you at this or are you at that? I've spent my whole entire life trying to become a better communicator. I used to hold a lot of things in, and then when I was in Japan, I became aware that they're not the best communicators. But I think the reason for that, there are two reasons. The first is that they're communicating with me in their non-native language, which is English. So it's harder for them to express themselves. And secondly, it's because Japanese culture, I always forget whether it's low or high context. It's a low or high context culture. So they read the air and they don't need to speak a lot to understand what's going on. So when I was initially there, I found it really difficult communicating with them. I didn't feel like they understood me, and I didn't feel like I understood them. But by the end, I'd spent such a long time there, and I'd learned how to navigate these people that I think I ended up being a much better communicator. And so now, if my communication is not clear or a relationship doesn't work out or breaks down, first and foremost, I take responsibility for it. So as an example, the first gentleman that I was dealing with last weekend, he wasn't, this is really important, I think, because I think men don't understand why women can switch off from them. He wasn't a friendly chap, and he wasn't a good communicator. He didn't have that people way about him. He didn't know how to get the best out of me. However, I think I do know how to get the best out of people. Not perfect, but generally speaking. And so I could have maneuvered that conversation in a direction that I wanted it to go to. But I immediately lost respect for this guy. It was firstly because he wasn't friendly or approachable, or he just didn't have charisma and charm. And one thing that you need to know about Persian culture, I'm speaking more about this because I've spent my whole life hiding this aspect of me because people just didn't get it. Whereas now it's becoming more mainstream, so I can talk about these things. In Persian culture, making people feel at ease and this warmth and this affability is a huge part of the culture. And so it's very difficult for me to vibe with people who don't have that or don't even attempt to have that. So there are people who just don't naturally have that. Okay, fair enough, but would it be worth working on it so you do have that? Because relationships are really, really important. In any case, I thought a lot about how that conversation broke down, and I think a big part of it was my fault as well. He wasn't affable and friendly and nice. His initial question was a wrong question, and I sort of switched off from him. Plus, I didn't respect him because, other than these reasons, he was overweight. I don't judge people for being overweight, but I judged him for being overweight. Why did I judge him for being overweight? Because this is a very, very successful man. He has the time and the resources to be able to take care of his body, look after himself, eat the right food. And when you come across people at that level of success, but they're not successful in how they conduct their bodies, then you just lose respect. Of course, I see people who are big boned and carry their weight in a larger way, but who come from, I don't know, let's say the Hawaiians or the Polynesian regions. You know, they're big boned people. That's a completely different thing. They're strong people. They seem to be exercise fit. It's just that they carry weight in a different way. That's a different thing. This man was obese just through sheer gluttony and lack of exercise. I don't really respect that at his level of success because he doesn't really respect himself in my mind at that point. As an opposite example of that, a few months back, I wanted to mention it, but I didn't know how to kind of fit it into my conversation, so I didn't. But I was walking to my favorite supermarket that you guys have heard a lot about, and I came across a gentleman with absolutely stunning eyes who was really obese. I mean, he was pretty big, but he had the kindest eyes and he had beautiful and striking eyes, and he was working in in I don't know, street as a street caretaker, taking care of the streets, that type of profession where you have to walk a lot, you have to be physically active. And I looked at him and I smiled and I nodded at him, and he returned the gesture as well. Why do I put him in a different category? And I respected him. And why do I put him in a different category to this other guy that I'm talking about? I think partly because he was kind. I could tell from his eyes that he was kind. Secondly, being that weight and still going out and working in a job where you have to walk all day, I respect that. And thirdly, I put him in a different category to this other guy because he's not someone who will have access to personal trainers and fabulous food and this and that would allow him to take better care of him. Am I making him a victim? No, no, I'm not. I'm just saying that I have more empathy for someone like him, particularly because he had this kindness about him. And I think sometimes I'm generally a non-judgmental person, but I'm giving you this information so that you know, even someone like me who's very careful not to judge people, I have those momentary reactions. It doesn't happen a lot of the time, but it can happen. And it's something that I want to eradicate. But at the same time, I don't think I indicate that I don't respect you. I've just in my head, I've just switched off. I've disconnected from you, and if I don't respect you, it's not possible to deal with you. You know, men always say, I hear a lot of this stuff in the manosphere, that they'd rather be respected than be liked. I'm the same. I would rather be respected than be liked. Because when people respect you, they communicate with you and they work with you in a team. This color is unnatural, you guys, but okay, that's more natural. But when they don't respect you, then you're not treated well. So respect is a huge thing for me. What's the other thing I wanted to say about communication? The funniest thing is that I see a lot of these manosphere guys say, you know, you want to be with a girl who has been raised by a strong father and had a good relationship with her father, etc., etc. And it makes me laugh inside, because what they don't realize is that women who have been raised by strong fathers who've brought them up with discipline and self-respect, those women tend to have much higher expectations and standards because they have those expectations of themselves. And so these guys are teaching these men to look out for those type of women. as in date those type of women. But what they're not teaching them is, well, if you're not at her level, she's not even, she's just, it's just completely different levels. You can't date someone who is on a different level to you. And by level, I'm not talking about these expressions that are bandied around like high level, low level, this and that. I'm saying that if I am self-disciplined enough to exercise and eat well, then I expect the same from you. One of the reasons I try to keep myself in good shape is because when I meet someone, I want them to know that I respect myself, and I want to have opportunities to be able to date whoever I want. And part of that is loving myself so that it's clear to people that I love myself. So it's not that easy dating women who have been brought up by strong fathers, because strong fathers raise you not in a different way to men. They raise you to just be a human being, a really decent human being. They don't raise you to be they don't look at you and think, oh, she's a girl, I have to raise her like a girl. They just look at you as, this is my child and I have to raise them in the way that I think will benefit this child the best in society. So what ends up happening is that those women, they don't see themselves in a different way to a man. I don't see myself in a different way to a man, except that I recognize that men are stronger physically than me. And secondly, I recognize that my brain works in a slightly different way, as in I have zero interest, zero, as you will know from all the videos that I've done on this stuff. I have zero interest in DIY type things. Whereas men, every man I come across, no matter how little interest they might have in DIY, seem to know how to do DIY. And I just don't understand it and I don't get it, but I've come to accept that that's just how we're just wired in a different way. So whilst I don't see myself as being different to a man, or rather I want to be treated equally to a man, I recognize also that I have different strengths to a man and vice versa. So I was talking about that film, Triangle of Sadness, and the reason I've thought a lot about this whole paying thing, in that film, there was a scene, just for people who haven't seen my previous videos, there's a scene where Harris Dickinson, the British actor, is having an argument with his girlfriend over a dinner date about who pays. She's promised to pay on that day and she doesn't. And in a later scene when they're fighting, he says to her, I want to be equal to you. And I love this line because how often do you hear a man say that? But more than that, it made me really think, because I also want to be treated equally to the opposite sex. So if I want to be treated equally to the opposite sex, then that means we do things in an equal way. So yeah, as much as I still haven't come to a good conclusion on this whole paying thing, that really connected with me because, well, fair is fair, right? So yeah, it makes me laugh a lot of the time when I hear these manosphere content creators saying, you know, date a good girl who's raised by a good father, because I'm thinking in my head, those good girls who've been raised by good fathers will have really high expectations and standards. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. Everyone should have high expectations and standards. If you don't have high expectations and standards, and something's gone wrong, then you don't love yourself, or you don't feel worthy of those high expectations and standards. So these are just some things that I've been thinking about, and I think women, just to go back to this first guy that I had spoken with on Saturday last week, had he been a kind person and a warm and affable person or a good communicator, I would have completely overlooked the fact that he was a chunky monkey. I probably would have thought about it like, when he's at this level of wealth, why doesn't he have a personal trainer, or why doesn't he exercise? But I certainly wouldn't have judged him for it. Maybe I would have thought, oh, he's super busy, but he's a kind person. But because it was like one thing after another, I had judged him collectively. And this is something that you don't want. This is something that you don't want. 26 minutes. So yeah, sometimes I watch excellent communicators like Professor Morandi, like Candace Owens, like Chris Eubank Jr., like Professor Finkelstein, because people respect them. People respect them. People respect them because they're good communicators, and people respect them because they have self-love, and people respect them because they are confident and knowledgeable in their area of expertise. And yeah, that's the whole thing about communication. For me, communication is vital, and if I fail, I just hash it out in my head until I figure out what I need to do next time so that that doesn't happen again. I think one of the reasons I can be respected is because I'm very honest and direct, but not in a way that hurts people, but I tell them the truth. And I think people are grateful for that, because most people don't tell the truth. Most people try and put themselves in an advantageous position by not telling the truth. But I tell the truth even when it goes against me. Because, well, we just have to tell the truth. That's just the right thing to do. And so I've built up a good reputation with good people, but with the people who are somewhat dodgy, they see me as some kind of threat, or they see me as someone who, yeah, they see me as a threat to their dodginess. And fair enough, I don't want to deal with people like that. So it's very easy to sift out dodgy people because I keep myself true to my values, and they sense that very, very quickly. Doesn't mean I've lost lots of opportunities along the way. Yes, I have. But will I have protected myself in some way? Yes. So that's just something that I had been thinking about this week. And then what else did I come on to talk about? I can't remember, you guys. It's kind of important. So I did go back and listen a little bit to Nick Fuentes, because I was thinking, well, what's the hoo-ha over him about? And a little bit of Mamdani as well. He's a likable guy. I think he will do well. I hope so anyway. I think young people need to get involved in their countries. We need young people to out these older people who are just grifters. So to me, it's a hopeful thing that young people are coming into the foray, but at the same time it's worrying, because if they can take out people like Charlie Kirk, then these other people like Fuentes and Mamdani are a huge threat, because potentially, like Charlie Kirk, they can go on to win the presidency. And the more I watch Candace Owens, the more I feel just gobsmacked about the things that are going on in America. I mean, maybe it goes on all over the world, but I think it's very much part of American elitism. So yeah, scary. And so I've decided that I've got to stop watching her too. I don't need to know this stuff. It's not productive to me. And those 10 days when I was away from all these things, I got so much done and I just felt more peaceful. So for the next month, I think one of the reasons I'm going to go off here is actually I'm going to come off my phone completely. The only reason I really need my phone is for my family to be able to get in touch with me immediately on things like WhatsApp. But I'm wondering if I can manage to navigate even off WhatsApp. I don't like it. I don't enjoy it. It's a bit tricky, but I'm trying to see if I can get away with it. In any case, I want to do what Professor Finkelstein and the Telegram guy, Durov, do, which is they don't have a phone at all. They just have a landline connection and they have their internet connection to the laptop. Otherwise, they're on incognito mode permanently. And I love the idea of that. Yeah, so just to say about Nick Fuentes, I don't think he's saying anything outlandish. I don't know what he's saying about. One of the things that troubles me about him is that he doesn't know how to pronounce. I think it's him. There's a thing with Americans where they don't know how to say Iran, and it sounds really Hicksville when they say Iran. It's like, no, please don't do that. It's very easy to say. It's just Iran. So you can kind of tell who's not world savvy by the way they pronounce certain country names. And that might sound a bit blunt, but honestly speaking, actually though, I did hear a really great, someone who was asking a question to one of Trump's kids and his wife. It was such a great question. He pronounced Iran in the wrong way. And it was just like, his question was amazing. And then he said it in that weird way. And it's sort of, but well, yeah, Fuentes, I don't know what his full politics, but from what I've heard of him, I don't think he's saying anything outrageous. If you want to live in a civilized society, you have to live in a civilized way. You can't pass the buck. And I think what he's talking about is just maintaining civil society. He's unusual because he's so young. So that's, yeah, I think he's gonna go far if no one jeopardizes him. I think I'm tempted to just keep talking. Y'all. What else did I want to talk about today? There was so much. Okay, shall we have a tune while I think about this? So this week, I just went back slightly into old school hip hop. I don't listen to hip hop anymore. I don't need the lyrics in my head. I don't need the. And when I say hip hop, I'm talking about old school hip hop. I don't listen to old school hip hop anymore because I stopped wanting the lyrics in my head. But there is really, really great old school hip hop.
I got a hunger for the mic, my appetite strike late at night, food for thought, hold down the fort, up in the port of riches, last seen giving stitches, grab the cat rise, gold mode crucifix, his team acting superstitious, one eyeing, one faking, reaching for his iron, one trying to get close, I got the toast and I'm firing, blood cushion, I think I hear sirens, commotion, still zoning, off the war potion, yeah. One, yo, we be the matches of circumference. My thought can't be altered, body, mind control substance. For the key to the shit here, is staring at a pasta. A group of airlights, my TV deep like a roster. You lobster, you break the legs of all imposters. Cut the tongues off the snakes, this one hits may cost ya. I'm pricing your life, I should always think twice. Remember, always think twice. This one fucking mistake, maybe coming away, kid. So wake the fuck up, yo, wake the fuck up. And yo, straight up and down, don't even bring that type of shit around me. You liable to get your whole neck slapped off your shoulders. quick, fast, faster than the eye blink. So I think you will live amongst the livest MCs and GODs that I run with and collaborate my thoughts with to elevate to a higher standard. As I landed, whenever stranded, as the guard PR terrorists apprehended, analog suspects on the set. Dirty doctrine, killer concoction, rhyme rotten, stay plotting. Yesterday went grenade shopping, caught a nice one. Grab the vest up, the track I'm blessed to make it bloody, ugly, dip it in mud. My soldiers gonna love me, grab the mic, look into the sunshine way above me, on my forehead. Today, have my daily bread, shared it with you. Make sure my fans are always fed. Yeah, I'm pulling wrestling moves on competition, headlock into submission while shots are licking, picking through crops of intuition. Yeah, my brain starts to change, sorts of strange squad names brought in vain, caught the physical force of unexplained for the battle of my life in the nightlife. This nigga grab a mic tight and strike with a flash like dynamite, right? So figure this, killer gets vigorous, a lyricist supremacist attacking the track like native villages. Run, still penitent, done. Why?
Such a tune. Probably my favorite Kill Army tune. Sons of Man. Very quickly. So I was thinking, I went and watched Eyes Wide Shut last night. What a waste of time. Wish I'd not even bothered. But by the time I'd got through it, halfway through, I sort of had to finish it. Nicole Kidman cannot act to save herself. She literally bought her career off the back of marrying Tom Cruise. Sham marriage, probably. But I just completely lost respect for her in that film. I completely switched off from her character because her acting is so awful. And the film turns sinister at some point as well. Like, I don't want to know about what these crazy elites do in their spare time. And I kind of delved into that. And you're just like, oh my God, did Stanley Kubrick know what the deal was even back then? I heard he passed away a few weeks after that film. So yeah. Soldiers of Darkness, Sons of Man.
Looking for dining room furniture?
Just brief. I might go into the middle of it, okay, you guys? So don't waste your time with that film. It's absolute nonsense. Didn't enjoy it at all. Even Tom Cruise, he wasn't at his finest. Zero chemistry between him and Nicole. You'd think being married, that's why I say it's probably a sham marriage. You think them being married, they'd have some chemistry on screen? Literally zilch, nothing, nada. Now, she's improved as an actress, but even so, even in Baby Girl, she wasn't great in that either. So it's just like,
Here's a ministry fighting wars of demonology. Soldiers of idolatry, right? The sins of reality. Moving through space, the black meteorite, burn the satellite. I said, never beat me on the depths of my inner sight. Visions of me on the night of a solar eclipse, aborting the mothership, taking my last whip from this polluted myth. Another soul vibrates, escapes this cold tunnel of fire. Trouble fire, excruciating rain from the board sire. I tie your fucking brain up with barbed wire. Infused or slap your bruise, unable to talk condemned in the rims of hell, afraid to walk. Reaction, slow motion, and shock for the explosion. Scepters of death. Left you choking on your own breath. You better study your literature, seek the scriptures. Biblical codes and scrolls, laced in velour robes. Kill a priest, recite some lessons in 60 seconds. Erase a blessing, overcome the oppression.
Hearken as the night darkens. You've been warned that the priest will soon swarm. Now you'll be done away like the unicorn. With nighttime as my uniform and death as my sword. The universal warlord. Son of man came together for one accord. You can't read about it, it's not a myth. Here's a puncture to your rib for a gift. And the only present I'm dealing with is now the Supreme Slayer. I wrote the book of Isaiah, laying the bodies down by the layer. Burn them before the assembly, and watch his ashes go up through the chimney. May the skies be as brass before his prayers, and though his words be lost in the air, the reason you felt shame. It's because I've been ordained. I'll tie you up and throw you off a fucking plane and fill up your parachute with more dead bodies. Don't ask me why, it's a fucking hobby. Burn them at the funeral. Put down your tool. I laugh at you. Why? Because MCs are my footstool. You enter the hocus pocus, perhaps the dopest, but don't overdose it. Focus, a bloodshot, your lips with ferocious side effects brings the glycosis. Insanity enters humanity's like anatomy. Your veins, central nervous system, mathematically schematic. Trauma panic, couldn't hold a tablet. Somatic, ruled through your system like an avid. Pump piston, watch for the blow. Hot, deliver it, fast, the slow, the rope, minute, barrier, delinquent, grabs your soul. Magnetic flux beyond control. I believe in beats and the commode, selling soul to the soul mold. All your possessions are over by the chemical, the chrome chromatosis, the syndrome, the rip band, the winkle, twinkle, you're caught up with your days now. Falling is a star. What part? What's so hard? Into it, travel so far, and even the master charge will put your arteries back apart. Running lots, this technique is so
That was my favorite guy. And that's how you do hip hop, ladies and gentlemen. This is hip hop. When you think of, I say Kanye is a genius and this and that. Kanye is a producer. He's not an MC. He's not a writer. He's a musician. These guys are poets. They're writers. This level of hip hop is, I'm locked in, and I rarely listen to lyrics, but I'm locked in. This is what I was listening to when I was a teenager. Yeah. So the stuff coming out nowadays, no point. I wanted to say one more. Oh yeah. So there's a small risk. There's always a small risk that I might not be back. Small risk, okay? But if I'm not, as always, I want to say thank you to everyone who's engaged with me, who's had an input on this channel. And if you haven't engaged with me, thank you for listening. I hope you've enjoyed the conversations and my monologues, and I hope you've benefited from it in some way. But yeah, I appreciate you.